Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. And a big thank you to Jay Barshop. And he left an iTunes review recently which says Neil and his guests do a phenomenal job of simplifying complex ideas in a structured and entertaining way. Hurrah! Thank you. Highly recommended listening and subscribe to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast if you want knowledge and mindsets to stay ahead of the curve and be better equipped to reach your overall business goals as a result. Huge thank you, Jay Barshop. If you are listening to the show today and you are still subscribing, send me an email. I'd love to know exactly where you are in the world and where you listen to the show. Those pesky people at Apple do split all the podcast reviews into different countries. So rather than have them all on one page, which would make much more sense, they decide to split them all up. So I don't get to see them all. So when I do, I always try and read them out. So if you do leave a review, please message me. Let me know. Bring it to my attention and I'll read it out on the show. And of course, whatever platform you are listening to this podcast, I would really appreciate you leaving a rating, as it really helps bring more people to this podcast and increase our community. And remember, if you'd like to come on the show, there's always an open invite to each and every one of you. But on today's show, I want to tackle the world of customer loyalty and how it could be about to be both disrupted and transformed by technology. Customer loyalty programs are very, very effective when it comes to retaining customers. We all know that. And customers join loyalty programs because they want to save money and receive rewards. And 50% of customers say they would change their behaviour to reach a high tier of customer loyalty programs. But that space does have its problems. And anyone that has flied with multiple airlines or is a fan of multiple brands will know that their phone can quickly build up of just a handful of points across multiple apps. But then I recently came across a company called qiibee, who are not only planning to transform this space with blockchain in the future, they already are and have some amazing brand partnerships which make this an incredibly exciting project with real world adoption and not just a list of empty promises like so many others out there that will remain nameless for obvious reasons. Now, the qiibee Loyalty Token Protocol, combined with a user-friendly developer kit, is aiming to ensure application owners don't need to invest the time, money and resources required to develop their own blockchain smart contracts or token technology. It's an incredibly cool company and an even cooler guest, and one of those people I could have just spoken to for hours. So I'm excited to share this one with you today. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Switzerland so we can speak with Gabriele Giancola from qiibee. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thank you very much for the invitation, Neil. I'm happy to be here. I'm Gabriele Giancola. I'm the co-founder and CEO of qiibee. We are putting loyalty on the blockchain. That means we're helping brands to set up their own loyalty programs on the blockchain. So that users actually can exchange all those points that you earn in those loyalty systems, and you also can actually exchange them for crypto or fiat. So you have a huge value out of those points, and the idea is really to connect the whole loyalty market. And by connecting this huge market of billions of people, we actually are really able to also, let's say, push the whole blockchain and crypto space I heard that there are 30 million wallets worldwide, from 30 millions to 3 billion wallets. So that's a really cool mix of let's say a more traditional business model and the super new technology, which is awesome.
Now, like you said there, qiibee is a Swiss loyalty token protocol that helps brands all around the world run their loyalty programs on blockchain, which is a fantastic concept because I think loyalty is such a big thing at the moment. But can you tell me a little bit more about what problems you're aiming to solve with qiibee, and also how it builds on strong expertise, existing partnerships and in-depth knowledge of the loyalty sector?
The main problem we really want to solve is that everybody that ever registered in a loyalty system knows that problem. So you register because you maybe saw an ad, or you were made aware at the point of sales. So you register because you have let's say in that moment an impulsive you make an impulsive decision. So you register, you get your first points, then maybe you forget your card at home, maybe you don't even understand for what can you use your points. So And the most problem is that these programs are really not very used. If you look at the airline programs, a lot of people do not really use the airline that much because they fly maybe as for holidays. So they're 2, 3, 4 times a year. They use the airplane and then they use the loyalty system. So for them, they don't really know what to do with the points. So the idea is to say, okay, why are we not creating one big ecosystem where you have different brands in there, which do not just give you a point, but give you, say, a tokenized point, which has a value on a secondary market, or at least it is attached at the value on the secondary market, so you can cash it out for fiat or for crypto. Or on the other side, the brand can enable you to exchange it with other brands. So I'll make an example. You can you drink a Coca-Cola, you get your Coca-Cola coins, and you can exchange it with me for the Subway coins because you want to have a sandwich and I want to drink a Coca-Cola. So the idea is really to fulfill all the needs that those customers have, and not only target those 1-2% of the frequent flyer and the super loyal customers, which are anyways, let's say, they're anyways so attached to your loyalty program that they won't change it. But you have another, 95% of customers or users where you could really increase the engagement and increase their loyalty by giving them more options.
It's a great idea. For me personally, I've got so many different apps on my phone for so many different loyalty programs, in particular airlines. You end up with 6 or 7 different airline apps that you never use just to monitor those loyalty points. But one of the questions I must ask is, why blockchain, and what does this technology enable you to do differently, and something that cannot be achieved with the traditional methods of managing those loyalty programs?
Sure. So it's easy to make a short example. Let's say we would use a central database, okay, to do our model. That would mean that everybody would need to trust us, that we manage all the points of all the loyalty programs that are built on that central database. Everybody needs to trust qiibee, that we manage those points in a right way, so we don't manipulate those points, we don't change them, we don't delete them, and of course we are also the main trust source for the security, so for external attacks. And what you have with blockchain technologies, you really have let's call it a trustless database where you don't have to trust the third party, meaning qiibee, if the database is secure and if the points are being manipulated or not. That is one of the most important parts. So you don't need to trust qiibee. We trust all the technology, all the blockchain technology, and you have all those points stored in there that can't be manipulated, that can't be changed or deleted. Now, that is the first advantage. The second one is, since then you have all those loyalty programs built on one foundation, and all those loyalty programs are in the same database, the points of those loyalty programs, it is much easier to exchange them. Because if you take all those different central databases of those loyalty programs and you try to, let's say, connect them with another central database, that will be a super difficult task to do. And from a security reason, it's also extremely risky. So blockchain technology is really here to have the same foundation for everybody, and really the one that is trustless.
So qiibee's blockchain plug-and-play solution supports businesses, giving them full flexibility to create their own loyalty programs on qiibee's protocol. But there are going to be people listening on both the business side of things and just average users. So can you tell me a little bit more about how it works, just to help listeners visualize how it will help provide them with value?
Sure. You as a business, what you are doing is actually either you have already a loyalty program, or you want to build one, or you're building one. At that moment, your developers or the agency that you're using to develop the loyalty program their developer really just need to integrate or connect to our API, and they don't need to understand, let's say, the whole blockchain and smart contract part, which you really need developers that understand that part of the whole engineering. So the idea is really that brands can super easy plug and play into the API. So they have they can tokenize all the points, and they can decide to make them exchangeable with other points. Now, as soon as you have the integration of the brand with our technology, the brand can start or will start to give out these points that are stored on the blockchain. Now, one example that we had right now in July and August was Lattesso. That's the second largest cold coffee producer in Switzerland. And what they did was every time you bought a coffee, you opened the lid and you found a small cookie with the code below it. So you went on Lattessocoin.com, you inputted the code, and you got your first 10 Lattesso coins. Now, the idea is really that you as a user, you still have the connection to the brand directly. So you still go on Lattessocoin.com or you go onto the Lattesso app. So the brand has the relationship with you. Now, as soon as you want to have the overview of all your points that you're getting rewarded in our ecosystem, you can download the qiibee wallet. And there you see all the points, and you can actually exchange them with each other.
Fantastic. I love that. And especially because I think certain elements of the blockchain industry at the moment in the crypto space, there's a slight bad reputation because a lot of them are built on ideas and concepts and one day we will do this. And what you're doing is happening right now. And of course, one of the biggest obstacles and challenges holding businesses back in this space is real world adoption and partnerships. So it's fantastic that you've already got this in place, because I've also read that qiibee has, I think, partnered with other brands across the world, including Sausalitos, one of Germany's leading Mexican restaurants and bar chains, and also more recently with foodchains and a Chinese restaurant loyalty rewards program. Can you expand on some of these too, to highlight how it's not just the tech of the future, a white paper or a project, but something that's happening and available right now?
Yeah, sure. So more short term is Sausalito. So it's the biggest cocktail and then restaurant chain in Germany with around 50 points of sales, which is specialized on let's say Tex-Mex food and drinks. And what they are doing is they're rewarding their users for of course all the euros they spend in the Sausalitos restaurants. But what is really cool is they actually work with their partners to make special promotions or special happy hours for the customers. So if you buy if you buy Red Bull, for example, in those 24 hours, you will have double the Sausalito coins. So it's a very cool, let's say, method to use our technology because it leverages even more a certain network, and the user has even more value out of it. So I think Sausalito will be for the German market a very cool loyalty system, and they're one of the first really doing that move. So it's even more exciting to see. And we already the fun thing is we already get from the community requests. Hey, I went to Sausalito and I asked them, can you tell us more? When is the loyalty program starting? So it's really cool that the community is, it's not just closing the brand, making a communication, and then that's cool. No, you really see that the community is engaging with that, and that they're walking to the store and asking, "Hey guys, when are you starting?" And so that's very cool to see how engaged the whole community is. And so yeah, on Sausalito we will have a good penetration in the German market. I mean, they have 5 million customers per year, so it's a very cool volume to work with. And then you have, as you mentioned, foodchain, which is a bit more mid-long term. We will start there in 2019 with the whole rollout, because there we talk about 73 countries and I think more than 900 points of sales. So it's crazy how big that penetration is, and those kind of partners will really help out create this whole ecosystem. And you already see with those three brands how big of a penetration and of an internationalization you already have, because 73 countries with foodchains, we had 7 countries with Lattesso, we have Germany with Sausalito. We have also the partnership with Confimprese in Italy, which has around 300 brands that are working with them. We're working with MyNow in Switzerland, which has a European client scope. So there is a lot going on in let's say in the sales and distribution side.
It's fantastic to see what you're doing now. And for me, at least, it seems like you're providing a way for businesses to store customer rewards on the blockchain and issue real value loyalty tokens, and ultimately bring blockchain and crypto to everyone. And that's so needed in this space at the moment.
Completely.
But can you tell me a little bit more about the need for the QBX token and its role in the ecosystem?
Sure. So the QBX token is needed for the brand. So what they do is, and that's why also every point has a value. So a brand buys those qiibee tokens, and with every point they give out, they actually back that point with a certain part of the qiibee token. So every point is backed by the qiibee token, meaning that as soon as you want to let's say cash out your point, you actually exchange it to the qiibee token, and then you can go on certain exchanges as soon as we're listed, and you can cash it out either in crypto or in fiat. So the main idea is really that you need it to back up your points as a brand, and of course also to pay the transaction fee. So of every qiibee token that you give to a user, or of every point that you give to a user, a small transaction fee comes to us.
And you also have an ICO kicking off, I think, around September the 24th. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and how listeners can get involved or find out more information?
Yeah, sure. So we're very, very, very excited about our crowd sale because I don't know if you saw on Telegram, we have a huge community of over 75,000 people on Telegram. Wow. And they're all super excited about the crowd sale. So they're all waiting to kick it off. And of course, that gives us also a very, very, very good feeling, because at the end of the day, you want to have an engaged community and you want to be pushed from them. So that's very cool. And we have a lot of pre-registrations online. So you will see that there are already some people that registered, because of course it was also, the pre-registration was open for the last I would say 4 or 5 months, because we said that we wanted to be one of those projects really coming onto the market with a product, with a use case, with some facts. I mean, with Lattesso, we already have some data. We already can show the whole community, hey guys, we saw that we had so many wallets that were opened. We'll show that data all in the next few blog posts, so you will find it out. I don't wanna spoil anything, but I think that's very valuable for a community, that they see, okay, this project is really working on what they actually, on their vision. You know what I mean? It's not just, guys, we need to raise funds, and then in 2 years maybe we will have something. That's also good, but I think we already had enough of those projects last year. Now, as you said, we need to really go into mass adoption and to bring the whole blockchain and crypto space a step further. So we really believe in that part, and our community too. So we're super excited for our crowd sale. And yeah, if you're interested, go on qiibee.com and you will have all the information from the product perspective, and of course also from the crowd sale perspective, all the needed information.
Wow, it sounds like you've got a huge community there, because I do frequent a lot of these Telegram channels and try and keep abreast of what's happening in the industry. And if I think of many of those top 50 companies in the coin market cap there, many of them have a few thousand people on their Telegram community. So it sounds like you're doing really well. That's quite an achievement, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it shows also a bit let's say our affinity and our, what you asked before, our industry know-how, because of course we know the loyalty market, we know how to make marketing and how to attract users. And I mean, we have a great product. People love our product. They can already download our wallet in the App Store, in the Google Android store. So that is something that really gives them a certain trust that we are working on what we're saying, and now we're not just raising funds and then trying to see what we can do. Let's say we come from a real business side where we already worked in the loyalty market, and we're now using blockchain technology to move the whole market and at the end of the day, the whole world forward. And I think that people just really recognize that we're walking the talk at the end of the day.
Now, 2018 has been a turbulent year for crypto, to say the least, and many backers have been burned by buying high and selling low, which is something I'll never understand. But as a company operating in that volatile space, I mean, what kind of pressure or challenges do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it is a different story than if you let's say if you raise in fiat, if you raise in Swiss francs or USD or euros, you're used to, let's say, hard currency. So the volatility is super low compared to crypto, and you don't have to think about, let's say, and then you also have that difference that you pay a lot in crypto, because a lot of service providers, you can pay them in Ether, in Bitcoins, and so on. So you have to think a bit about the financials or about the liquidity with another eye. So you have like the crypto market where you can pay in Ether and Bitcoin. So it's always good to have a part of crypto on your side as startup. On the other side, you never want to have too much in crypto, because of course, if you had, for example, a lot in Ether, and you didn't change that, I don't want to say the word on the podcast, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're pretty much, and that's why you as a startup, you really need to you need to understand that part. Like if you just raise and then you think, oh, cool, in January, I don't know, I raised 20 million, and you look now again at your wallet and you see the worth, it's a completely different story. And if you'd never thought about, or you always thought, okay, I just exchange my ethers when I need them, that is not the strategy I would recommend. Like from my point of view, you need to have at least a certain time which is guaranteed as your runway, and then as I said, it makes sense to have some part in crypto just because you pay a lot in crypto, and not even for the speculation, really just more for, it doesn't make sense to rebuy crypto because you have to pay a service provider in crypto.
Yeah, absolutely. And presumably we're going to see a lot more stability coins, or they're going to step up and play a greater role in everything, aren't they?
Yeah, I also think stable coins will be for sure play a bigger role. It is, I think the whole market will come to a point where it will stabilize, but it needs just more time. I mean, the whole blockchain and crypto space, if we're honest, of course it's been, Bitcoin came up in I think 2008, 2009, not 2009. Of course it has been now nine years, but at the end of the day, blockchain technology, if we look at the technology adoption curve, I would say that the early adopters that started maybe 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, because before nobody talked about, not nobody, but it wasn't that amount of people that you have now that understand or know what is a Bitcoin or talk about blockchain technology and so on. So it needs still time to really get to a certain mass adoption. And I think the more we're getting there, the more you will see stability in the market.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a great word there, time, and another word, patience, because there seems to be a real lack of patience in this industry at the moment. Not from you guys creating, but if we go onto the community side of things, and anyone that frequents Reddit will know that everyone just wants instant gratification, want those instant results. But of course, it's not like that. And if you take a step back out of our tech circles and out of those forums, and we'll get to that real world adoption, mainstream users are still not sure of it, or they don't know too much about it. So there is a lot of work to do, and time and patience play a big part in that, don't they?
Completely. I mean, if I take an example from our business, I mean, it is awesome that you had the ability to grab a coffee and be in the blockchain and crypto space. So as soon as you have something on the ground, it's awesome to see how fast it goes.
Yeah.
But to get it on the ground, there you need patience. And I think that, I mean, of course, that is a bit it's a bit a lack of information, because if I am in a sales process with a brand, for example, I know exactly, because they're telling me what are the steps that we need to take through with them to really get to the point that we can make a communication, that we can set it up on the ground. So that needs like the bigger the brands or the bigger the companies, the more time it takes.
Yeah.
And I think that is a bit like, in a lack of information, because of course we on our side as projects can't always update on a daily basis. I had a meeting with that guy, with the head of, I don't know, blockchain, and it was a good meeting. We will have the next follow-up meeting then and then. Of course, then a user or the community would completely have a transparency on the process. But for us, like I would need a team just communicating our daily updates.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a bit the thing, that it's difficult to have patience when you don't have the information.
Yeah, I spoke with Angel at Ambrosis recently. He was saying exactly the same, that you've got the community that are demanding constant updates on almost daily and weekly. Whereas when you have a meeting with a big brand or a big company, they're going to lock you down with NDA straight away, that they don't want you talking about it. So you can't win.
Completely. We have the same thing. As soon as we talk to big brands and it's a serious talk, we have an NDA to sign.
Yeah.
And if we just leak one information, like that lead is dead. Yeah. And that's why I think that, what we're trying to do is we're writing weekly updates. So we're trying to give their always updates, what we're doing, where are we, so that the community has a feeling of, let's say, being with us. You know what I mean? Yeah. That they know, okay, cool, qiibee is doing that and that. They're now in, I don't know, China, looking for investors. Cool. Now they're, I don't know, they just released a new feature, or they have onboarded a new brand, so that the community always knows and has like small weekly summaries of what is going on. That is very, very important to us, to being transparent on that side. But as I told you, as soon as you sign an NDA and you talk maybe 6 months or 9 months with a brand. Yeah. I mean, I make an example. We're talking right now to a Swiss bank, and more, I can't say more. We're talking just to a Swiss bank, and we signed the NDA and everything. Yeah. Now with them, we're talking since 6 months. So we needed 6 months to make all the due diligence, all the workshops that were needed to work on the product, to how is the technical integration, what is the business model behind it, all that kind of stuff. And just to get to the point, okay, we're seriously interested. Of course, the NDA was signed far before. And then after you were seriously interested, you start going deeper. You start really then working on the product. Then you need to check out the whole legal part. So you're already there. It's like if we talk about the Swiss bank, legal is super important. So it needs a lot of time. I mean, we're trying to be as fast as possible with everything, and really to show the community that we're working on a lot of stuff. But sometimes it's really you're depending on that brand or that company that just has its internal processes, and you can't change those. You can be fast and deliver on your side, but you can't deliver on their side.
Absolutely. And as you said those words there, you can almost hear somebody typing a Reddit post with a long list of Swiss banks trying to guess which one it is. And yeah, that's kind of the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. And I mean, the thing is that the community is, of course, super used to everything is fast. Yeah. I mean, last year it was crazy. Yeah. Last year you I think in every time of the year when you invested, you made profit. So it was so easy to make money, and it was so fast to make all those profits, that I think that the community is still very, very used to that part. You know, it was like, hey, Ethereum has this update. Okay, everybody's buying, price goes up. Then, hey, somebody uses Ethereum for that and that, price goes up. And it was really you had news, price went up, and I think that this year you see that you have this correction, and I think it's also due to, it comes a bit more down to substance. Like the whole market is thinking more about the substance behind all those projects, and we also see that, by the way, with investors or with contributors. So it's not anymore like last year where you not easily, but the due diligence were more a high level thing. Now it is much more going deep and seeing if you as a startup are really doing what you're saying, and if you're not really a scam. Or so they really want to, like the institutional funds, they really do deep due diligences to understand if they make the right choice. What I think it's also cool for the community, because it gives a certain credibility to the project, and people know that, okay, it was vetted by certain institutional investors, and which have other due diligence process. So I think it gives a lot of maturity to the whole space.
So what's your grand vision for qiibee, and how long will it take, do you think, to make that real progress and that real world adoption?
I mean, to make that real world adoption, that is happening step by step. Yeah. The vision is really to, of course, the vision, the far vision, is to get the complete the whole loyalty market onto the blockchain, and to have blockchain, to have loyalty on the blockchain as a standard. That is really the vision, and I think it needs time. Like it needs time, because we're talking about disrupting a whole market and changing how they have done the stuff completely. So you will have players that are super innovative and will be early on, as Lattesso, as Sausalitos, as foodchain, and many others that we're talking to. But you will have some players that will need some time to really be convinced, like the more traditional loyalty systems that really did their business models now, like they're doing it right now, the last 20-30 years. There you need time. There you really need to show traction. You really need to show that you are the standard for the rest of the market. So they're the only ones not using the standard. And I think I would say, look, a vision for me is on a 5 to 10 year time range. So I would put it on that range. We will be very, very successful already before, because there are so many brands that do wanna actually make this change, and so I think that you will have already a very big system or ecosystem in the next 2-3 years, which will be internationally recognized, and then it's going really to push then for the super mass adoption.
Well, a huge thanks for coming on the show today. I've really enjoyed talking to you. But before I do let you go, can I just ask that you remind the listeners of where they can find you online, find out more information, white papers, roadmaps, all that kind of stuff, and also maybe contact a member of your team if they have any questions?
Sure. You have all the information on qiibee.com. That is qiibee.com. There you have all the information about product, about the team, about the use cases that I just talked about, and of course all the information about the token sales, contributors that are already on board, brands that we already have relationships with, and so on. So you will find all the information there, also contact details, of course. And if you need anything else, I mean, you will see me for sure on Telegram answering some of the questions, and then you can get my Telegram name and write me directly. Yeah, and otherwise, thank you very much, Neil, for having me here. It was a great pleasure talking to you and having this podcast with you.
Now, I really love what you're doing here, and I love your vision of getting loyalty on blockchain as a standard. I think it's a fantastic thing. So a big thank you for joining me today.
Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Neil. Thank you.
What I find most exciting about this blockchain project is that it's so refreshing to speak to someone about something that is not just built on empty promises, or that good old, one day we might do this. qiibee's partnerships with Lattesso, Sausalitos, foodchains, and more to come in their immediate future highlights to me real-world adoption. And this is what we need in this space. Moving forward, I'd also love to see crypto communities uniting more and getting behind projects like this and moving away from just cheering on their coin of choice that they've committed to like it's their favourite sports team. What is going to disrupt and change the world? What are mainstream audiences going to adopt? This is the really cool stuff that's going to change the world. But this show is not just about me and my opinions or even the guest. it's about you guys too. And I'd love to hear your views, your insights, your expertise on everything you've heard today. So what are your thoughts? Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. But that's it for today's show. So a huge thank you for tuning in. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow. This is a daily tech podcast, and we do cover a variety of topics from an eclectic mix of guests. So I hope you'll join me again tomorrow. But until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.